So, hello and welcome back to Making a Brewery, episode 2. So I just wanted to give you guys an update on what's been happening since the last video. So I guess first of all, I've made some ever so slight changes or alterations on where the brewery equipment will go. So I've just kind of trying to size things up at the moment, but putting the 4 fermenters side by side in here at this end close to the door seems to be a good location for them, although I may just move them ever so slightly up to this side of the room, maybe, and put the actual Braumeister down at the end down there. I just have to figure that out, but it's tidied up the place a little bit, giving me a little bit more space in here, but I've had to move some things around as well. But yeah, look, still very early days just yet. What did I want to talk to you about today? Well, I'm going to give you just a quick little tour of the outside of this garage as it is at the moment, but brewery, and give you a look at the property, and then we'll have a little chat around how I intend to fund this brewery, and look at some things like different types of grants that may be available to me from the local enterprise office, and also something which is called leader funding as well. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then also I'll talk about getting power into the building, some quick kind of updates on that, and starting off the planning application as well. So yeah, a few things to talk about, but let's go for a little bit of a stroll, and I can show you a little bit about the outside of my brewery. So yeah, let's go for a little walk. So let me open up. So I've got myself this fancy new gimbal, which is supposed to follow me around as I walk. So hopefully I don't have any mishaps, but I will be able to show you the outside of the property. So yeah, let's kind of take a walk around here and we'll see what we can see. So maybe if I can swap around and just show you. No, that's not what I'm looking to do. So yeah, look, this is the garage on the side of the house. Sorry about the mess, it's a bit of a mess at the moment. I need to get a skip, but yeah, let me kind of walk you on a little bit of a tour around. So at the side of the garage, I have kind of a storage shed here where I kind of store all my tools and stuff. There is the potential, if you can see this area, of putting in another, maybe another steel shed, insulated steel shed, for if I need to expand ever so slightly. And yeah, if I need to put like maybe a shed for bottling or bottle conditioning, or a cold room or something like that out here, I do have enough space out here to do that. And then the nice part of this property, which I'll show you in a moment as well, is well, that's my wife's polytunnel, but as you can probably see, as we get a little bit further down this way, the beautiful lake, Loch Killynaher, which is right at the bottom of the garden. So it is quite a beautiful and scenic place to be brewing our beers. Well, let me take a little bit of a walk down here. And there you can see, obviously, the back of the shed, or back of the garage, and the house as well. But yeah, this is the lake area. Absolutely beautiful to have this at the bottom of your garden. So the lake is about 23 acres, so it's quite big. Intending to repurpose that little jetty there this year at some point, and Maybe get a boat out in the lake and stuff like that. But that project may need to take a little bit of a back burner with the brewery project, but we'll see. So yeah, it really is a beautiful place around here. Really quiet, really rural. Do have a couple of neighbours up that way, up there, but not too close to me. So yeah, at the back of the garage, just here, you'll see there was another greenhouse, but that got battered and destroyed in the recent storm. So we'll probably be replacing that soon, maybe with another polytunnel or something. That's for the wife to choose. But yeah. Right, let's get back inside and we will have a look at the various ways I'm intending to fund this endeavour. So yeah, that's as we walk back in. I need to figure out how to use this gimbal because I can't keep on walking backwards when I'm making my way around. Right, cool. So, what else did I want to talk to you about today? So, I do want to talk to you about funding the business and building a business case, but based off the last video I put out, episode 1, I got a really great suggestion around getting three-phase power into the garage. So, for most people who won't know, it's quite difficult to get three-phase power into a residential property, and it could end up costing thousands, depending on where the nearest kind of wires for three-phase power are. And because we're quite rural, that could run into the thousands for the ESB in Ireland, the Electricity Supply Board, to run those cables to a private residence. It can be done, but could cost thousands. Or if there's a local wire close by, it may not cost that much, but still have to get quotes on that. But one of the commenters on the first video, a guy called Carl Rappel, so thanks for this suggestion, Carl, suggested I might look into getting a generator, a three-phase generator, to be able to use the Braumeister, because essentially that's the only thing within this whole garage that's going to need three-phase power. So I'm looking at that as a possibility. I could potentially put the generator outside. There are kind of so-called silent generators that you can get. Now, they do produce a lot of noise, but I could potentially build some form of box around that to muffle some of the noise, put it out the back of the garage, and then maybe run a cable in through the wall and then have that available for the Braumeister. So that's something I'm exploring. It will mean I don't have to wait months and months to get power into the building, and I can start to experiment on the new system as well. By the way, I'm loving this new gimbal. I don't know whether you can notice, but it's following me around no matter where I move. So it's centered on my face. It's a pretty cool device, so I'm enjoying sitting in front of that, and it's following me around the room. So yeah, thanks for that suggestion, Carl. It's definitely something I'm going to explore. I've looked into it already. I've spoken to a friend of mine who's an electrician. He thinks it could work. So I'll keep that in mind and see what I'm going to do about that. I haven't fully decided yet, but it's definitely a potential to getting power into this building, or three-phase power. As I said, the rest of the building already has power, regular, normal single phase, and that's all I need for the rest of the brewery, essentially. So yeah, let's talk about building a business case first of all. So that's another kind of big part of starting a brewery, which I guess I was quite naive about initially. Everybody kind of has a dream, and you want to start a brewery, but then you realize that it actually has to be a functional business, and we have to be able to make some money at it. So in order to get any funding for the brewery, and I'll talk a bit about funding in a moment, but in order to get anything like that, you kind of do need to have a fairly robust business case. So I've started building the business case, and my wife is looking after a lot of that at the moment. So I started this business with my wife. She's the business brains behind the business, and I'm going to be the creative force. So I've done the kind of broad outline of the business case, and she's looking over it at the moment to kind of put a bit of meat on the bones of it. But things I've had to do for the business case, especially from the financial side of the business case, I've had to price up everything. So going into the minute detail of signing up for a microbrewery account with Get Our Brewed, who are based near Belfast, and probably the nearest microbrewery supplier to me. So I've signed up with them to get pricing, essentially, to be able to price in minute detail how much every batch is going to cost. So if I put a recipe together for a 200 litre batch, what's my malt going to cost me? What's my hops going to cost me? What's my yeast going to cost me? But then going a little bit further than that, obviously has to be factored in the price per bottle, the price of the label, the price of the cap, and then all the other factors that I'm going to need to price in as well. And some of them are a little bit more difficult to get accurate figures on. Like, so I don't know what it's going to cost me to insure this place. You need to factor in the licensing costs and all of those things. It's quite difficult to do, but I'm working on that at the moment, and I'm hoping I've set myself a deadline, or set my wife a deadline, to be finished by the end of February, so we can start to move on to the next phase, which is going to be applying for grants. So essentially how we funded the business so far, luckily we were in a position that we had some savings, so that allowed us to buy the Braumeister and those lovely 4 fermenters that you're seeing there. But ultimately we are going to need to apply for some grants to aid the development of the business. So there's a few different avenues I can go down. Every county in Ireland has what's called a local enterprise office, or LEO for short. And from those enterprise offices, they all offer a number of grants. The 3 main ones being a feasibility grant, which you can essentially use for consultancy before you start out your business, or for market research and those type of things. Then you have what's called a priming grant for new startups. So again, that's for newer businesses who may need to invest in equipment, or invest in premises, or all different types of things to prime and get your business up and running. And then they also offer one of the kind of 3 main ones is the expansion grant as well. And that's when you're up and running, and maybe you're running for a couple of years, I don't know, and then you need to expand your business and you want to look at some grants there. Now, all of those grants, you have to contribute a certain amount towards whatever you're looking to put into the business. Like, let's say you're looking for new brewery equipment, you would have to pay for that. And then you would get a portion of that back as a grant. So that's something I'm definitely going to look into. And then also on top of that, there is a thing called leader funding. So I'm actually reading off the screen here. So leader funding promotes sustainable development in Europe's rural areas, addressing economic, social and environmental concerns. Leader was designed to aid the development of sustainable rural communities following the reforms of the Common Agricultural Policy. Now, that's the boring part. So Leader gets, every few years, gets allocated a few million, essentially. I think it's like 7 or 8 million per jurisdiction or area that it can allocate to various businesses and startups and industries. And I think potentially I may qualify for some of that funding because I'm in a really rural area. So that's definitely an avenue I'm going to explore as well. You can't apply for funding for the same thing between the local enterprise office and Leader. They work quite closely together, actually. So we'll have to look at, if I'm eligible for one, I may not be eligible for another. So there are things I just need to look into a little bit more. But what I'm thinking potentially is looking for the Leader funding for the more infrastructure side of the business, in terms of getting the power, the 3-phase power in, and potentially if we need to upgrade the septic tank and those type of bigger things, I may apply for Leader for those, because essentially I'm bringing a business to rural Ireland, but I won't be able to have that business without the infrastructure, i.e. the power and the septic tank, the waste management. So I'll see, potentially I could apply to Leader for that type of funding, and then maybe look towards the local enterprise office for more of the feasibility or priming grants for maybe some equipment that I may need, or some consultancy from a brewing consultant, something along those lines. Haven't explored it in great detail just yet, but that's kind of what I'm thinking at the moment, and I'm sure I'll talk more about that in future episodes. So yeah, essentially Not a lot has happened since video one a week ago, other than me moving some things around in the garage here. The one kind of piece of, I guess, where I've made a little bit of progress is I have contacted an architect to look at the planning permission that's needed for this building. So I'll need to change, this is a residential property, obviously, which I own, but I'll need to change that to, or change the garage essentially to commercial. So I did explore this about a year and a half ago. I'm living here about 2 years. Did explore it about a year and a half ago when I was thinking of, just kind of toying with the idea of opening a brewery. And I did get in touch with Cavan County Council, the planning department, and told them what I was thinking of doing. And they did tell me at the time that because it would be such a small scale brewery, they would be inclined to approve that type of planning permission, essentially. Now, it didn't get much further than that. That was kind of just exploratory stuff. So I've explained that to the architect that I've just contacted and said, look, I need someone who can do the drawings and do the proper, essentially, an application. He did say he has experience of doing a similar brewery, I think he said, in Leitrim, although I'm not familiar with any breweries in Leitrim. He could be referring to, there is a distillery there, so he may have been referring to that. But he said he has experience in applying for that type of permission for a similar type organisation before. So, he said he has to get back to me. Cavan is a funny place. When people tell you that they'll get back to you, they don't really give you a time frame. So he took my number and said he'd give me a call back, and he'd call up to the house and have a look at the garage. But absolutely no time frame on that. So it could be this week, could be next week. I have absolutely no clue. But I probably, because of my sense of urgency around all this, I'll probably chase him next week if he hasn't come back to me this week. So that's where we're at the moment. Again, kind of, as I said, not a huge amount of progress, but I've ramped up the planning. I'm looking at things like getting the 3-phase power through the generator as a short-term measure, potentially. I'm looking at the planning permission. What else have I been looking at? I also need some more equipment for the brewery. So I have to look into chillers at the moment. I'm not really very knowledgeable on what type of chillers I might need for those type of fermenters. If I can get like a few different chillers, smaller ones that'll like one chiller per fermenter, or whether I get one big one that'll power them all or chill them all if they're all on the go at the same time. Which is probably unlikely. I'll have 4 fermenters full at any given time. So maybe I'll go for a smaller one. But yeah, stuff like that. I'm going to need a labeling machine. I already have stuff that I can use from my home brewery. Like I have the canning machine, a semi-automatic canning machine. I have, or can seamer. I have a duo filler and a tap cooler for filling bottles, duo filler for filling cans. So I have a lot of kind of equipment that I could potentially reuse in this microbrewery as opposed to my home brewery. But there's definitely other equipment that I need to look into. A bright tank as well being one that's going to be potentially cost me a bit of money. But stay along for the journey. I hope you're enjoying this content. If you are, please give me a like and a subscribe, and feel free to share my videos. If you like this type of content as well, like I shouted out in my first video, check out Four Priests Brewery. Andy does some great video content there of his journey of starting a brewery and where he's got to now. He's and also as well, check out Liam at Sun Bear Brewing. He's also on YouTube, and he's put a lot of video content out there, which is really helpful. Actually, I'm working my way through it at the moment, showing his journey of starting a brewery out of his garage also. So yeah, check out that content. But if you do like this content, do give us a like and a subscribe, and I appreciate you all watching. And hopefully I'll be back in a week or two with another video. Take care.